informational kickoff to the 2023 Student Empowerment Summit. I'm super excited because we've had almost 800 registrations to either view the webinar live or to view the recording later on. So thank you to everybody who's on here today. Please share all of this information with as many people as you possibly can. And we're going to kind of dive into what the Student Empowerment Summit will look like and give you all the tools that you need to make it come alive on your campus. All right. Really quick, so that you have an idea of who we are and why we're here with you today. I'm Aaron. I'm the Vice President of Curriculum and Program Engagement here at Varsity Brands. Some of you may know me from the open world, and I'm also a lecturer at SUNY Cortland and teach future teachers how to share their greatness with their students. And I love what I do. It's going to be my 25th year of teaching next year. So that's a pretty cool milestone. That I don't know if I've been looking forward to it, but I got here either way. And I'm joined today by Jessica. She is the assistant principal at Hidden Valley High School in Oregon. So if you hear announcements in the background or anything like that, you'll know that it's legit. She's actually doing her job at the same time she's joining us today. So, but I also just want to give her a shout out. She was one of the founding members of the collective. She was there with us in July at the Dallas event, and has become a content contributor for us and really important member of the team as we've been putting this Empowerment Summit together. So Jess, I'll just give you a couple minutes to say hi to everybody.
Hi, and yes, I am in Oregon, so I apologize if any bells go off or any songs or anything like that. Currently 10 o'clock out here, so we're just getting our day started. I am in my 22nd year of education. I've held many roles K through 12 actually. Started in elementary education, worked up as an instructional coach in a middle school level, and now I'm an assistant principal at a high school. I was very fortunate this past summer to attend the collective event in Texas in person, and was just really inspired with all the people that were there and for all united for one purpose and one reason, and that's mental health of our staff and students and what we can do moving forward. So when I got the opportunity to present and work on this Student Empowerment Summit, I took it and ran with it, and really excited what it has become and where it's going to go. And I can just envision it being bigger and better as we keep moving forward.
Absolutely. And so I'm excited. I drank a little bit too much coffee today, to be honest with you, because just the adrenaline of being able to show you what we've been working on for the past several months is going to be great. I obviously have to give a shout out to all of my teammates. So Varsity Brands is the combination of three amazing companies: BSN Sports, Varsity Spirit, and Herff Jones. And I have the pleasure to be able to work across all three of these divisions. I was at a Varsity Spirit camp in Arkansas last week. In a couple of weeks, I'll be with my Herff Jones teammates at a conference in California. And of course, I'm here with you today, thanks to my teammates at BSN Sports. I can tell you that across all of Varsity Brands, the collective and the work we're doing for student mental health is one of the most important things that we can help you with, besides delivering great product on time with great service. So we know all of those things are essential to make your lives easier. And so we're just really proud to be able to do the work that we can do. And I love my teammates. So I want to give you a little bit of a background. So if you're new to the collective, you have an understanding of kind of what we're trying to do and why we're trying to do it. So back in last summer, we really created this vision around mental health. I mean, the news, whether it's school violence or violence in our communities, or just general mental health challenges that kids and teachers and administrators are having, we felt like as a member of the school community in every zip code in the United States, we had to do something. And so we formed this group called The Collective, and our goal is to establish a culture of well-being and mental health support for schools to help transform conversations around mental health and create positive learning environments for students and educators. What's important about this statement is we're here to transform conversations. We're not here to stop or decrease the amount of conversations in mental health. And I know a lot of folks in schools just need to, they're like, I wish we could just have a break from this. But if we can make those conversations more productive, more positive, more optimistic, then I think it's a huge success. And that's really what we're all about. And so I want to just kind of give a couple of the statistics that just came out recently, and I'm going to give you the citations on the next slide. So if you want to take some screenshots once these are fully up. But pre-pandemic, about 1 in 5 of our school-age children had experienced mental, emotional, and developmental behavior disorder. So before the pandemic, we already knew that there were challenges that we were facing. During the pandemic, 37% of high school students reported poor mental health. 44 had persistent feelings of sadness and hopelessness. About 1 in 5 seriously considered suicide. So to me, this is staggering, right? 1 in 5 of our high school students seriously considered suicide. And if you're working in high schools, you know this is true. You know that this is something that it is impacting the way that we teach, the way that we live, the way we interact with each other. And then equally as staggering, nearly 1 in 10 attempted suicide. So among children aged 5 to 11, mental health related emergency room visits increased 24% in the early pandemic from the prior year. And of course, we know educators are the first responders for all of this. And so as we think about all the teachers that are serving across the country, over a third self-reported generalized symptoms of anxiety, but more than a quarter reported symptoms of clinical depression. So it's something that we can't ignore. It's a conversation we have to have. And so the collective and the partners of the collective and Varsity Brands are here to elevate this. So that's the last stat. If you want to take a screenshot to be able to share that, I'll leave it up for just one more second. Actually, I'm going to move that over slightly. All right. This is all of the different citations from that previous slide. So, some of the suicide statistics were so staggering, I had to go look them up. It just didn't seem possible to me. So I felt it was important just to add this slide. So if you wanted to, you could go and you could check out some of those statistics. So go ahead and take a screenshot of that one. All right, just a little bit of an update on the collective. Like I said, our first event was held in July. It was a hybrid event where we had both folks joining us online as well as some in-person people. At the end of that event, we had 302 people registered as members of the collective. This means that you're registered for our newsletter, you get our bi-weekly updates, and you can access all of the free resources that we announce through those updates. As of January, we had 2,300 members. So you can see there are a lot of people out there that are finding out about the work that we're doing with our partners, and they want to know more, and they're joining the cause. And thank you to all of you who have registered as well on our website. We've added 2 new partners since July. So Erica's Lighthouse and Look for the Good project have been added to our list of partners. And just so you're aware, all of the partners that we have that we brought onto the collective are working to provide free mental health resources for students. Now, they may have some things that have a cost to them, but they also have free resources that are available. And those resources can be accessed online. So total downloads as of last month is 52,000 downloads of those free resources. So it's growing. We expect that number to start to really ramp up as we approach our event next month. So a couple of things I just wanted to point out that we learned from last July's virtual event. So we had 144 participants virtually day 1, 117 on day 2. The majority of those folks were educators, administrators, and many of you are probably on this call or watching the video. So thank you for participating. We took careful notes and we crafted a list of all of the learnings that were given to us from the folks that participated. So the first one was more virtual events. So the success and registrations that came in for this particular event proves that folks who are signed up for the collective do want more virtual events. So there's more coming. The next is an asynchronous virtual event for students with flexible planning resources. And if you were a part of that, that initial program, you know, we asked a lot of questions. We had a lot of ideas, ranging from doing webinar style events for students. And what we learned quickly was that probably isn't going to work. And who knows what the social media platform of tomorrow will be. So we wanted to make sure we created an experience for you and your students that would be as flexible as possible, and we could give you as much as we could. So today's information is going to help you do that. More professional development that includes mental health. I work day in and day out with the Open National Training Team. We have a group of folks at the Center of Varsity Brands and Believe in You that can do professional development. So we're building this. You can get Believe in You professional development today, and we're building more solutions for the fall. So stay tuned for those. More resources for adult mental health. We hear this loud and clear, and we're working with our partners to make sure we push out those resources as much as we possibly can, as well as developing new ones. Mental health advocacy press kit to share with administrators and school boards. So this is something we really want to get right, and we want to make sure that all of our partners have an opportunity to participate. And so we're hopeful that by next fall, we'll have the beginnings of this advocacy toolkit for you to be able to share. The next thing are resources designed for students to take home and share with parents. We believe that as a part of this Student Empowerment Summit, they will have some of those resources that they can take home. And then finally, resources to help train students to de-escalate situations with their peers. This one we have to get right? We have to do this in a way that is done very intentionally and with all best practices in mind. So it's going to take a little bit of time, but we are actively in conversations with some of our partners to figure out how we can do this in a way that can help you and your students. So that's just a little recap from what happened in July and how we got to where we are today. You can take a screenshot of this as well. One thing I just wanted to point out was that all of the work we've done around Believe in You and the empowerment program was actually run through a pilot study. And I'm pretty sure there's some folks on this call that participated in that study as well. And we did this in the heart of the pandemic with all sorts of uncertainty. And just last month, we were able to publish the results of that study. And I was super excited to see that we can proudly say that the methods that we're using, the journaling that that we're giving to students, all of the resources we're giving to educators through professional development has had a positive effect. So we saw a significant increase in SEL knowledge. But what I think is more important here is that over the course of 10 weeks, and we know 10 weeks is not a lot of time, we saw significant increases in emotional regulation and self-efficacy. And this is really the foundation to help our students get on track with proactive mental health. And that's really what we believe the Believe in You program is, proactive mental health. So this study was just published last month, and make sure you check that out. All right, on to the reason you're here today. So the Student Empowerment Summit has been designed to empower, educate, and activate your students to help them plan and implement a local mental health awareness campaign for the month of May. And the month of May is Mental Health Awareness Month. It's right around the corner. So we know in order to make this happen, you need the resources in your hand as soon as possible. And today is the kickoff. We're going to start delivering those resources to you today, with more coming on March 1st. So this is where I get to pass it off to Jessica, and she's going to talk through some of the work that our team has been doing to get ready for this.
So just to see that one slide alone is pretty amazing, because I remember us wordsmithing this back when we first started, and to see that it's here and we have the stuff available for y'all and ready to go and have all of it ready for you to hand off to you March 1st is really exciting. So I'm going to walk you through kind of what we've done, a timeline of the asynchronous event, and then the resources. We're going to show you some. We're going to show you a landing page where you can find all those things virtually and online. And then also kind of what they look like. So again, starting March 1st, we will launch the resource landing page where all of this can be accessed. You will walk away today. We do have our lesson plans ready, because I know as a teacher, that's one of the biggest things that you want in hand is those lesson plans. So you know how much time, how much preparation you're going to need to do these things with your students. But all the other resources will be available March 1st on the landing page. So then we're asking during March 14th through 16th, if you'll kick off your student empowerment summit events using hashtag break the stigma. That is our hashtag that we've gone with for this event and moving forward with mental health awareness. And you're going to run your event anytime after March 14th and for the month of May, because during this time period, you're going to be working with your students, going through the lessons provided and the resources, and you're going to be planning your May event, what you're going to do with your students in May, how you're going to implement this in your building, and what works best for your building. So some conversations will need to be had probably with administrators, counselors, health teachers, just getting everybody involved. So we wanted to make sure that you had enough time to do all of that. So May 1st is kickoff. The Student Mental Health Awareness Month campaign begins, again, using that hashtag break the stigma to showcase any of their work on social media and also share it with us. If you're a little hesitant about posting things from your students on social media, just reach out to us, email us those things. We want to see them, even if you're not getting them up on social media. But I think that's where a lot of the power is going to come from. All of our students, I would say almost all of them, are on social media, and being able to see students leading this mental health awareness month in your building is important. Also, just using it within your building, if you don't post it on social media, I think is important. So then from May 1st to May 31st, just keep sharing and normalizing mental health conversations in your school. So the focus on March 14th through the 16th is the planning, and then the implementation is the month of May. And that's going to look different from school to school. That could be a weekly event, bi-weekly event. It could be you choose a week in May. Again, that's going to be up to you and your building administrators and what works in your building. So let's take a look at some of the—
let me just jump in real quick too. If you guys are on spring break, March 14th through 16th, you don't have to run your event then, right? You can push it off a week. You can do it, the first week in April. I know spring break kind of throws a monkey wrench into everything across the country, and there was no way for us to pick a date that was perfect for every school. So that question just came in. I want to make sure we kind of address that quick.
Absolutely. All right, so let's look at those resources. What we're going to show you first is our landing page, where you're going to find all of our materials. Not all of the links are active at this point, but we wanted just to be able to show you what it's going to look like when you go onto the website. And if you notice, we tried to do a very easy URL so that you can remember it, but I would, knowing me and my brain, I bookmark it right away. But we did just do varsitybrands.com/break-the-stigma. So that you're using that again. So it takes you to this site where all your materials will be available. And you can see across the top that our partners are all listed there. And you'll see their icons on things that we have made that they've helped and supported and given us resources and accessibility to the things that they have. And so just familiarize yourself with our partners, because you will be using some of their websites as well. But you can easily click across the top, day 1, day 2, day 3 materials. And when you do that, it's going to take you to a drop-down menu. And so day 1, our title for day 1 is Letting the Light In. And love the graphics that Varsity Brands and Believe in You came up with. It's amazing. I think it's very powerful and simple. And so when you open that up, on day 1, the first thing that you're going to do for all 3 days, there will be a video. So when you open this drop-down menu, the video will be right there ready for you to hit play and share with your students. Also, right below the video, you'll see the links of the materials that you're going to use for day one. And so the day one packet will be everything all together. And then your resource links are listed there of all the resources that you're going to use for day one. So everything's made, everything is ready to go. So if you're concerned about, well, I don't know how to use vocabulary cards, do I have to have the kids make them? Are we using index cards? No, they're there. They're available for you. And we really took into consideration how this would look when you project it in your classroom, whether it's through a projection or a TV. And so we tried to format everything so that you could easily just go to this website, project it up on your TV, and share it with your students. And like I said, you'll walk out with other things, and you can print everything off prior. But in the day when you're doing the lessons, this is where you'll go and to get the video, and everything's at your fingertips right there. So day two is Minding Our Minds. And again, you'll see the video just ready to hit play and walk through that with your students. And then again, those are the resources and activities you're going to do on day two with your students, the vocabulary cards and activity. They get to do a fun scavenger hunt. And so again, we try to really take into consideration ease of use, because I know being a teacher, it's hectic, it's hard. And I know we tend to stress about these things, and we didn't want that to be a stressor for you. We wanted it all to be available and ready to go. So then finally, day three is titled Breaking the Stigma. And again, there's all your resources and everything you'll need for the day. So I'll have Erin speak to you. If you scroll down a little bit further to the bottom, our speakers for our videos.
Well, I've realized time and time again that I'm not as young as I used to be, and I probably don't relate to high school students quite as well as these two ladies would. So Andrea Poma and Eliza Kuhn are two extraordinary young women who've been a part of the collective journey from the very beginning. Eliza is our digital marketing manager here at Varsity Brands, but she's a recent graduate of Ball State, and in just less than a year has made a tremendous impact on our team. Her talent is incredible. Her energy is incredible. And she's humble, so I know I'm making her blush while she's listening right now. But she really has just an incredible amount of passion for the work that we're doing. So she is going to be the spokesperson for Varsity Brands on the videos that your students will see. And she'll be joined by Andrea. Last year, Andrea was a summer intern for us, and it just so happened she came on board at the same time we were kicking off the collective. If you want to see a powerful young woman just really sharing her greatness with the world, you should Google Andrea and watch her TED Talk. She has done so much in a very short period of time on this earth. She's the president and founder of a nonprofit that works to empower women globally. So these two young ladies will be the primary speakers on the videos. The videos themselves will be short. They'll be about 10 minutes long, anywhere between 8 to 10 minutes. And all of the concepts that we want your students to be able to walk away with for that day will be addressed by these two young women. And I'm super excited.
All right, so let's take a look. Let's dig into our resources a little bit. We wanted to give you a glimpse at what they look like. So here's, as mentioned before on the landing page, there was a list of resources. And the first thing that you're going to be able to have really quick are the lessons, the lesson plans, the 3-day lessons that you're going to implement March 14th through the 16th if you're not on spring break. And we were very intentional about the lesson plans. Again, making sure that we had them structured in a way that teachers are used to seeing, used to writing, and used to implementing in their classroom. So you'll see day one, again, is letting the light in, identifying safe people and spaces. Day two is minding our minds, identifying resources, and those are going to be resources in your buildings, as well as your community, as well as our partners through this program. Day three is breaking the stigma, taking meaningful action. And day three is really where you're going to start doing your planning for your May event. So let's take a closer look at the lesson plans. And like I said, we were intentional about making sure you had everything you needed and how you would run this in your own classroom if you were writing the lesson plans. And the first one is, of course, the top. Every lesson has the objective stated right on the top, what your students are going to be able to do by the end of that lesson. And then we went with the I do, you do, we do model of this lesson, and that's for all 3 days. And so the I do is the collective. It is Varsity Brands. It is the video. So those things, that's not you as the educator. You would be leading some discussions, but it is the videos are the I do part of this every single day, as well as every single day you're going to be introducing vocabulary to your students, vocabulary that's going to be mentioned in the videos, vocabulary that they're going to use while they're planning their event in May. And so you'll see that on the right-hand side, we listed materials needed. Again, those materials are provided for you. There may be one activity on day 1 or 2 that you would need maybe a tennis ball or something like that, because your students are going to be getting up and moving around the room and participating in that activity. Otherwise, everything else has been provided for you. Also, we just kind of included, if you're a brand new teacher, first year, or if you're a veteran teacher, you kind of sometimes tend to forget some of those management things that might help a portion of that lesson go a little bit easier. And so we provided some management tips throughout as well. And then on the next one is the we do, the center of your lesson, what I like to call like the middle, the meat of the lesson is there. And that's usually a strong discussion that you're going to have with your students. Questions are going to be posed. Again, in this one, they're actually doing an activity where they're going to get up, get around the room, and participate and just interact with their peers and have some really meaningful conversations. And then finally, you're going to wrap it up with the you do. And the you do is where they are going to be using these, the team empowerment packet and working on towards that final goal of implementing these things, building wide in May. And I just saw in the chat, there was a question about length of lessons. We tried to keep them 30 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes long, because we know everybody has different schedules, different times, block periods, all those things. Of course, they can absolutely go longer based on how in depth you might want to get with a conversation. If you want to try different activity or variation of an activity, that's all depending on you. But if you follow it strictly, I would say probably about 30 to 45 minutes is what it should take. All right, and so then the other resource that is provided, which I am very excited about, I've gotten the opportunity in the past couple of months to really look at our partners and the resources that they provide on their websites, and there are just so many of them. And so what Erin and I and the team really worked on was pulling some of those things so they were right in front of you, and being able just to hand those things to you. You can absolutely use any of their resources that you or your students find as you're going through these lessons. But this is what one of those things will look like. So one of the resources we found that we both really, really liked off of Erica's Lighthouse was Inspirational Sticker Contest. And so this is a great thing that could be implemented in May with your students. And it's an example of something. It's set up in the format that tells you where we got it from, the title of it, and then how you can implement it in your school during the month of May. And we've also followed the great goal. And for some of you that have worked with Believe in You, use their leadership lessons that are free, there's a great goal that they follow. And I'm going to have Erin speak to that as to the structure of a great goal and why we're continuing to use that in these lessons.
Yeah, so the great goal process has been a part of Believe in You really from the beginning. And we built it in very purposefully into the leadership program that you can get at believeinu.com. And this is kind of like a light version of the Plan, Do, Study, Grow leadership cycle that you'll find in that program. So as we're going through, all the students would get together with the other students on their team. So maybe you would have a class of 30 kids and you'd break them up into teams of 5, and they would tackle one of these projects. And we're going to have multiple projects like this for you to choose from. You'll see a few more in just a minute. But we've gone through and filled out the great goal process for them so they could kind of see it modeled. And of course, there's going to be a blank version. So if they wanted to tweak it, they could go in and they could write their own prompts for each one of these. But what we wanted to be able to do, again, is make it as easy for you as possible and as easy for your students to see the great goal process being modeled. So this one is to host an inspirational sticker contest for Mental Health Awareness Month in May. That's the goal's name. It's basically like your elevator pitch. What are you going to say when somebody says, hey, what's your goal? Hey, our goal is to host an inspirational sticker contest in the month of May. So from there, we get to R. What's the reason for the goal? This is your why. Well, the contest will give students, faculty, and staff a fun way to break the stigma around mental health conversations. So we're talking about mental health, but we're talking about it in a way that's fun, that's more accessible, and again, is proactive instead of reactive. So that's the reason. We get to E. So what are the efforts required? So what we did here is we tried to think through what are all the efforts your students would need to accomplish in order for this to happen for them in May. It's not an exhaustive list. There are going to be things that are unique to your building they're going to need to think about. But again, this is a starting point. For example, the very first thing is to select key dates for the contest. They need rules. They need submission deadlines. They need voting timelines. How is that all going to work? So there's plenty of work for your students to do, even though we've got them started through the great goal process. So those are the efforts required. From there, there's an accountability team. So who are the students on the leadership team they're going to be working with? Who's the faculty, staff, advisors that they need to be a part of this in order for it to be a success? And then who are some key contacts that they need in order to get the task done, right? And so Sticker Mule is just an example of one place that we at Varsity Brands use. And this is not an advertisement. They're not our partner or anything, but I will tell you, they turn around stickers really fast and they send you a bottle of hot sauce with them. So you can't go wrong with that. But those are the sorts of things the students need to look at. Are we going to just buy stickers, on Amazon and have them printed in our laser printers, or are we going to actually have them manufactured by an outside company? So this is where they would kind of add those contacts.
Amy said she can vouch for the hot sauce. Is what Amy said.
Absolutely. It's good hot sauce, actually. And then finally, okay, let's take all those efforts and put them in a timeline. And we think backwards design always. So we do this from a backwards design perspective. So winning stickers are distributed. So what's the date for that? Maybe it's May 20th, and that gives them 19 days to run the contest. Or maybe they want to start this contest as early as April to make sure that they're ready to have the stickers in the month of May. That would be totally up to your students. And we went through and just went backwards all the way back to who is the accountability team and identifying their commitments. So that's the great goal process in a nutshell. Anything to add to that, Jess?
No, I love it. And I like the working backwards and just holding them accountable, holding your students accountable. And as a teacher, when you have 4 groups going in your class, sometimes it's hard to remember who's doing what when. And having these goals and having them work through that process, it keeps them accountable and it keeps you organized. And so I think it's amazing. It's a great process. So some other things, activities that we just wanted to highlight. Another one is a You Matter letter writing with our partner Look for the Good. The goal is that one is to run a You Matter letter writing campaign throughout the month of May with at least 3 letter writing collection events. And so again, we provided the great goal for you, and the students can go through that process. If they want to tweak it, they can absolutely do that. Another one is with Hip Hop Public Health. If you have not ever gotten on Hip Hop Public Health, you are missing out. Go after this webinar this afternoon, go check it out. It's pretty amazing to see what they're doing. And so we have the students using that website with Hip Hop Public Health, and they're going to maybe create, let's see, it says an implement break for mental health Mondays, every Monday in the month of May at least one teacher per grade. So they're using the videos from Hip Hop Public Health. Maybe it's something you decide as a building on Mondays, we're all going to do this, or our leadership class is going to do this every Monday, and using those videos and letting the students have that break, that mental break during the day, just to get their body moving. And they're pretty fun. So, and then another one is crisis text helpline, crisis text line. And I know our counselors use this in our building. We have their stickers up around our building. But it's just, this one is promoting and making, letting students be aware of the crisis text line and how you can implement that in your building so students know that this is available to them. And I like this one a lot because it even comes with, if you see across the top, those little squares, those are things that you can post on your social media, you can print and put up around your building. So it's pretty exciting. Again, those are all things that we are including in this resource packet for you so that you can just take it and run with it. But at the same time, we're giving the students the choice because they know their building best. Those students are aware of what's going on, and they know, well, that maybe our student population isn't going to respond to a sticker contest. I know ours would. I know ours would be excited to have stickers to put on their water bottles, and for it to come from a student would make it even more beneficial, but that might not be your building. And so you would be able to choose one of these things or find your own as they're researching all the websites with our partners. So, Aaron, that's you.
Yeah, and we're going to have more options for you, obviously, coming that will release on March 1st. But I can't wait to see some of these things come alive in buildings. And, if you have a great class where you can have a few groups really leading the charge and have multiple projects going on at the same time, I just think it has the potential to be amazing. All right, so what's next? It's time to actually register for the Student Empowerment Summit. I know you all have registered for this webinar, but we need you to register for one more thing. What that's going to allow us to do is to report out the impact, because we're going to ask you for how many students you approximate will participate in the Student Empowerment Summit. It's not an exact science. Our researchers that published our research are not going to hold you accountable. Just give us an estimated number in the form that you fill out for us. Teacher registration is obviously 100% free. We want to make sure that we're communicating when new resources are posted, as well as be able to provide you with resources from our partners. If you register for the Student Empowerment Summit, you'll automatically be registered as a member of the collective, and you'll begin to get our biweekly bulletins with all of the information that you would get from that. Just to give you some of the benefits, I said you'll receive our email updates. You'll also be eligible for door prizes. So we're going to have a handful of door prizes if you register before March 14th. So we're going to announce the winners of the door prizes during that week. So make sure that you get on and you register. Register every teacher in your building that's going to participate as well. We want to know how many actual teachers are going to be utilizing these resources. So if you have one teacher, that's fantastic. But if you have 10 teachers, that's fantastic as well. And we want to make sure that you have a chance to win some of these door prizes. So one of the door prizes are actually going to be these comm strip stickers. So these are stickers that would fit either on the back of a cell phone or like on a laptop. A lot of kids are putting stickers all over their laptops, and it's textured. So students can use this almost as a fidget. And Eliza put this really great design on there just to have a calming effect as they use that circular pattern to really just kind of calm some of the nerves that we all have. I've been fidgeting nonstop for the last 45 minutes, so I could have used one of those stickers prior to this call. But the other thing is we're going to give away 4 free professional developments, Believe in You professional developments. And these could either be face-to-face or virtual. It's totally up to your school building and what you have available, and you can use those anytime within the next 12-month calendar year. So we're going to add more door prizes as we go, and we'll announce those in some of those emails that we send out to folks who register. But I wanted to let you know what some of the benefits of registration are, other than just helping us measure the impact of what the Student Empowerment Summit is actually doing for you and your students. All right, so that QR code, if you use your phone right now and you use that QR code, it'll open our Google form that you can fill out right on your phone to register. You can also go to varsitybrands.com/student-empowerment-summit. You'll get more information. That website is also where you're going to get those first 3 lesson plans that Jessica talked about. So they're already posted there so that you can take them, you can look at them, you can share them with your counselors in your school or the other teachers that are going to participate, your administrators, to let them know all of the work that we're going to be able to provide to you to make this happen in your building. So that's the final slide for me to post there. We
did have a question.
Yep.
So we do have possibly, I know we have one mental health therapist that is on, a school-based mental health therapist. Other counselors may be on. There is no fee for anybody to register for this. I can envision, and I've already talked to our counselors in our building, not just being a support, but if this is something that you're passionate about and you want to do, tag a teacher and say, hey, I'm willing to come in for 3 days in March, and we can work beside you, or I can take over your classroom and we can do these lessons together. So there's no fee for you, even if you're not a classroom-based teacher.
And honestly, in Arkansas last week, I talked through this with the cheer and dance coaches that were participating in that conference. And many of them said, hey, we're going to do this with our teams. We want to make sure that our teams are ready to go into their schools and be leaders and lead this charge to break the stigma. So it can be literally any adult mentor in a building that has students that can demonstrate the leadership needed. The other thing I wanted to add actually is that we're not planning on taking these resources down. We're just going to add to them. So the more we can learn from you about how the resources are being used, the more we can add for next year's event. And we're going to, boost up all the options. We're going to give you more leadership tools. We're going to hopefully bring on more partners that have more resources. So please make sure you stay in touch with us. And if you just hit reply on the emails that you get, they actually come into my inbox, and I can get messages as easy as that. So I just wanted to make sure you all knew we're not taking this stuff down. We're going to leave it up there so that you can use it 365 days a year if it makes sense for your students, but certainly for next year as well. So any other questions that came through the chat, Jessica, as you were kind of monitoring through?
Nope.
All right. Well, on behalf of Varsity Brands, I want to thank you all for being here today. And if you're watching on video, thank you for tuning in. And first and foremost, thank you for everything you're doing for your students day in, day out. Our schools need you, our kids need you, and your colleagues need support from other colleagues that understand how important mental health is. You all are the first responders for your students. You know that. You're the first responders for their mental health, for their emotional well-being. And anything that we can do, we are open to suggestions. And typically, if we can provide it to you as a download, we're going to figure out a way to create it and post it out somewhere on the Believe in You platform. So, Jessica, thank you for all the work you've put in and for joining me today and walking through this. I'm excited to kick this thing off. And we'll see you all in the month of March as we roll this out.
Thank you all.